So, if you do not want to fail your CNA Nurse Aid exam with Prometric, and I am in the state of Florida, tune in. I'm about to give you some tips and tricks on things to make sure you never do when you are in front of the nurse evaluator to avoid failing the skills portion of the exam. So, I am Erica. I am the owner of Love Range Medical Training Center in Gainesville, Florida. I teach the CNA prep course. I also teach medical assistant training, phlebotomy training, med tech training, all the things, and I also teach CPR and first aid. Okay, so, but I wanted to talk to you today about how to pass the CNA exam prep skills portion, which is the part as most people struggle with because they're hands on and they're watching you. The nurse evaluator is standing there with her paper and pen, watching every move you make to see that you do all of these things correctly. Okay, so I'm just gonna give you guys some things that you definitely don't want to do while you are doing your skills portion of your exam. Okay, I'm going to cover a couple of skills that I know stand out to me the most. Okay, and what they're looking for the most. Okay, so first thing first is hold on a sec. So there's an average about 20 skills that you must know for the CNA exam course. Okay, and that sounds like a lot. It could sound overwhelming, but understand that a lot of these skills are repeated skills, things that you're going to do a lot of the same routines in each skill. Okay, so like range of motion will be 3 actual skills. Okay, respirations is one, checking the pulse is another one, but those are pretty much the same type of skills. So when you hear the number 20, it could make you a little alarmed that you got to learn all those skills, because what you won't know until the day of the exam is what your skills are. Now those were already selected for you when you paid your fee, but you will not know what skills you are going to receive until you get to the test site. Okay, and they're going to be, each person will receive 3 skills plus hand washing. Okay, so you will be doing 3 skills in front of the nurse evaluator. Typically they could be 5 to 9, depends on the location, but everybody has to go. It could be a full day of you being there just going through all the skills. Okay, with everybody else, because they not pretty much they're going to test everybody, and then you'll find out whether or not you pass, and you will know the same day if you pass the skills and the written portion of the exam. Okay, so let's talk about a few things that I know stand out the most, that I think will be the most beneficial to you to avoid if you do not want to fail this exam. Okay, so first thing first is, before you even get there, is don't be late. Okay, do not be late. They are going to cancel you if you come to that test site late. Okay, so you're going to be paying all those fees again and rescheduling your exam. Okay, and nobody has the money to throw away, so I recommend that you be already in that parking lot an hour in advance, because you need to be walking in 20 to 30 minutes in advance. Okay, do not be late to the test site. Okay, now let's get to some of these skills. I got a few things here that's going to help me, so I'm going to touch on a couple of the skills. For the most part, I will just start with the first one. I'm not going to go through all of these skills because I just want to touch on a few that will kind of hopefully help you to avoid. Okay, so first thing I'm looking at is respirations. Measure and record respiration. That is how you breathe. You are going to be doing that on a real person. That will be whoever's in the bed, whoever the student they pair you up with. But I just need you to know, for that skill, what will fail you on respirations when you are doing your time, when they have you doing your time, if you go under your 60 seconds, you have to be counting respirations for a full minute. Now, there's some other things and I need y'all to understand that I'm not telling you everything. It's going to be more things to watch out for. I'm just telling you some key things that you want to avoid so you don't fail this test. Okay, so with respirations, it's super important that you count for a full minute. If you count for 59 seconds, you will fire. If you count for 58 seconds, 59 seconds, you will fail that skill. You need to count for a full minute. Okay, important that you know to do that. Now, there's a lot of things that you got to know, but I'm just going to touch on some key things that's going to stand out the most to them. Okay, make an occupied bed is the next one that I'm looking at. So, empty a urinary drainage bag, catheter care, brushing the resident's teeth. Okay, of course, vital signs is always big. Ambulated patient is always going to be the popular ones. Transfer from bed to wheelchair, 100%. You're going to probably, the likelihood of you seeing that is definitely, range of motion is a pretty common one, but I just haven't seen anybody with a partial bed bag, but it still doesn't mean you won't get one. Partial bed bag will probably be the one with the most steps in it. So if you have to learn any skill, I have my students really focus on baths, which is the most important ones, because those are the most steps to follow. But the partial bed bath will be the one with the most steps. So just making sure you are familiar with how to do that, because you don't want to get caught off guard with that. Feeding a resident, you'll probably see that one. Okay, so those are the ones you're going to see. They have provide perineal care to an incontinent resident. I haven't really seen that one pop up, but just know that it is on the list. Okay, so don't sleep on it. Oh, definitely dress a resident with a weak arm. Catheter care, dress a resident with a weak arm. Two of the popular ones, and then catheter care. Empty urinary. I can't talk. Emptying a urinary drainage bag. Those are the most important ones. Some of the most important ones. But let's just talk about a little bit about provide a partial bed bath. Now, with a partial bed bath, your key thing. I'm just gonna give you one thing that I would say stand out the most is making sure that you don't put soap on the face. Okay, you need to wash the eyes. You'll just use a wet washcloth for that, and then making sure that when you are cleaning opening areas that you're using the four corners. The four corners are important that we don't cross contaminate. So you want to make sure if I wipe one eye, I change the spot on the washcloth. If I do the other eye, I change the spot. If I do the mouth and the nose, that I change the spots on the washcloth. Okay, that is going to be the biggest things that will get you filled. Okay, it's more to that one because partial bed bath is probably one of the ones with the most steps. So there's quite a few things else. So just making sure you know that skill pretty well. Okay, the next one I'm going to touch on because I only want to go hit a couple more. I'll probably do another video talking about things to avoid, things not to do, things that will fail you. Okay, but providing catheter care to a resident with an indwelling catheter. Catheter is very important that you understand the placement of the catheter. So when I'm teaching my class, I teach them how a catheter is inserted, how it stays in place, all the things. Well, if you understand that how the catheter is put in place, that will help you to be careful when you're messing with the catheter. So that is what they're looking for. The nurse evaluator is going to watch you to make sure you are being super careful with that catheter. So when you're getting ready to wash the catheter, that you pinch that spot that before you pull and clean down the line of the catheter. Want to make sure that when you're looking at the under the covers, that you're looking to make sure that it's not kinked or she's laying on it or that it's not touching the ground. So knowing everything you can about catheter will be helpful for you to not fail that skill. Because if you go in there and when you start to clean it and don't try to protect that tooth from being pulled out, you will fail that skill. Okay, you want to make sure that when you're turning your resident over, that you're not doing anything that will cause that catheter to get. So the catheter, anything dealing with that catheter is going to be super important if you don't want to fail that skill. So just be very, very careful and remember the steps when you're cleaning the catheter. Now there's a couple of other things that you could fail on that skill. I'm just focusing on one or two of the key things, and that one is the one that I want you to really focus on right now. Okay. Okay, one thing that stands out to me is the next one, which is measure and record contents of a urinary drainage bag, basically emptying the drainage bag, the catheter bag. What stands out to me would be one thing that will fail you is that when you get ready to dump the urine in the toilet, okay, you're going to dump the urine after you measure it. You got to rinse it, so you're going to have to get water out of the sink, but if you pour the water down the sink, you will fail the skill. That would be dirty in their mind. Urine going down the sink is supposed to go back in the toilet. So when you rinse the graduate, you're going to pour that rinse water in the toilet. Don't dump it in the sink because you may be thinking quick, you're rinsing it. You may forget that I'm at the sink already and I can just rinse it there, but you will fail that skill if you pour that, even the rinse water, down the drain of the sink, okay? You don't want pee in the sink, so you got to put it in the toilet, okay? Okay, so that's measuring our urinary drainage bag. We're going to do a couple more, and then I'm going to end this here. Ambulate resident using a gait belt. Ambulate resident using a gait belt, okay? Your biggest thing with that is to make sure they have their shoes on. Now, they are already up in the chair with their shoes on. Just make sure you still make the comment that they do have their shoes on. You want to make sure also that when you bring them back that you sit their bottom all the way to the back of the chair so they won't slip off the edge of the chair and fall on the floor. So those are two things that make sure you stand out for or look out for, so you'll make sure you don't fail the skill. One more quick thing about that one is the gait belt. When you're holding onto the gait belt, just making sure you hold onto the gait belt as they're walking with your hands on the back of the gait belt. So you want to make sure of that, because that will definitely get you a fail on that exam. We don't want to fail. We're not here to fail. We haven't did all this to fail exams, right? So that's why I'm here. I'm just trying to help you guys be successful. And I do videos. If you don't follow me, I suggest you do. I do a lot of videos about nursing and phlebotomy and medical assistant, all the things to try to help you guys in the community, so people, out there in the whole world know some tips and tricks. I've been doing this a long time. I was a CNA for 8 years, an LPN for so many years, and became an RN at 17, and all the things. I've done a lot in this field. I've been a director of nursing, and now I own my own business. Been here 2 years over 2 years now. July was 2 years I celebrated, so I'm super grateful here in Gainesville. But I do love helping others succeed. So that's why, if you're not following me, you should, because I do drop a lot of good gems and things that can help you. And you're always welcome to ask me questions. You can leave messages, and I always communicate back as soon as I see them. I'm pretty responsive, so I do try to help you guys as much as I can. Okay, so next up is I'm gonna do two more. Foot care. Oh, foot care. So provide foot care. Now, if you get the skill foot care, they're only going to require you to do one foot. The same thing if you do hand care, just be the one hand. But with the foot care, they're going to look to see that you look on the bottom of the person's foot to see if there's any open areas or wounds on the foot. Okay, because anybody